Welcome to the City of Belleville's Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee on this Tuesday, June the 15th, 2021. I'm the chair, Sean Kelly, and we'll go to Sheila Alexander for attendance this morning.
Morning, Chair. We just have one regret. Our friend Kat Andrews Fisher Kat Fisher Andrews unable to join us.
All right, thank you. I just also want to add, we have regrets from Councillor Garnet Thompson. He sent me a message due to a commitment he couldn't get out of. He unfortunately can't be here today. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Anybody having, it's all good, thank you. Business arising from the minutes. You had a chance to look at Rhonda, second by Councillor Millet. All those in favor? Approved. So the minutes, you had a chance to look at them, business arriving from them. 5.1 is the lighting request page. And I will go to Sheila to just introduce that for us, bring it back up on the table.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, we were in our last meeting. Our friend Summer had asked some questions, and very important questions, with regard to the request to have the bridge lit up in lights, or how to go about a proclamation. And thanks to our friends in communications at City Hall, we were able to get those. So I have provided the links to everyone, and I know that they are on the city website now, so that you could go in and request assistance, or at least some direction if you wish to have a proclamation, or at least have some color changes on the bridge lights.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Summer, any thoughts on that quick response from the last meeting?
I think that's awesome. Thank you. That's great.
Good. Thank you. And thanks to the city staff for getting that all done within a month. Appreciate it. Proclamation request page. Sheila, we'll go back to you for that to share.
Thank you, Chair. Once again, if you have a group of an interest group of any kind that would be interested in having a designated proclamation, such as Victoria Order of Nurses, our Grannies for Africa, or there's a number of groups in the city who are anxious to make sure that we have that heightened awareness for their groups. So that's the process, that's the application. It was pretty vague in the past, so now we've redefined it. You make the application, no guarantees if we have multiple requests for the same month. It's one of those issues where I think it's going to be probably first come, first serve, or based on how many applications they do receive on the same. So I'd encourage you to take a look at all three of those different websites and move forward with your groups.
All right, thank you so much. And is the request page similar information?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Any comments or questions regarding what we just heard? All right, all good. 5.4, volunteers for the formation of a working committee, Diwali celebration for the city in the fall. I have 5 volunteers already that I've lined up, and they're excited to join me. They're all in their 20s, and they're all 2 are graduates of Loyalist College, and some are students there. So they were really excited to find out that the city is planning this. They're originally from India, and they're loving their stay in Belleville, and they are engaged to get involved and help with the process for education and having a fun festival. So anybody on this committee, I know we last meeting said to reach out to me, and I was checking my emails 24/7, patiently waiting to get one of my teammates on this committee, but there's still time to reach out to me. Okay, I know you've been busy. Correspondence. We have none. Deputations.
Mr. Chair, if I could, is there any chance we could move an item of new business ahead of the deputation? I know that Summer had wished to make a comment about what we're going to meet about later on this week.
Okay.
And in the interest of time, because we were speaking offline, and I understand Summer's got to be, she has to have her son do an appointment. So
okay, that's fine. We're going to move new business up 8.1 And last night at the city council meeting, there was healthy discussion about Canada Day and what we can do to include everyone. And it's been a very emotional time for the country over the last month with the news out of British Columbia. So the mayor has asked the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee to work with the Chamber of Commerce on what we can do. So Summer, I know you wanted to speak to that this morning, but we're going to have a meeting, I'll get right to it. Thursday at 12 o'clock is a window that works for the chamber, and I'm hoping everybody on the committee here can slot this in. It'll be Thursday at noon via Zoom for a conversation. We'll have some partners join us as well that we've invited for that meeting for the dialogue. But Summer, I'll go to you for some thoughts.
No, I think that's a great idea, and I didn't realize that we were going to. I'm just putting it in my calendar that we were going to discuss it further. I think it's imperative that we have voices of everybody's backgrounds from here at that, so that it's not just my voice there. I would appreciate, and I really appreciate Sean and Chris's allyship as we work through this together. That's not going unnoticed. So I appreciate that, and I think there's some large conversations to have after reading and listening to some media in the last 24 hours. I'm not going to say that I'm impressed with some of the reactions by councillors. That's for sure. I think some of the stuff is coming from a very privileged white male standpoint, for lack of a better word or term, I guess. And I think we have a lot, we have so much work to do. We're not even at a point as a city of using proper terminology, right? So we're so, when I read that, it was it probably offended a lot of people. So I think we have a long ways to go with where we're going to start and move forward in educating mass groups of people. So those are just my thoughts, and I'm happy to discuss it on Thursday. That'll be great, and hoping I can see all of my ally friends here at that meeting too. Thanks.
Yes, does the Thursday at noon work? Hopefully you can alter your schedule. It's really important, and I think the residents of Belleville, and I know City Council is leaning on us. The Chamber's very happy that we're going to have this conversation. Jill Raycroft, I spoke to her yesterday about it's come together quickly, but I'm hoping we can all be there on Thursday at noon. Chris, you wanted to weigh in?
Yeah, just a couple of quick comments, and I want to make these comments while Summer's in the meeting, because I intend it as well under new business. Summer and I, after working together for the last couple of weeks on the Indigenous Land Declaration Statement, we've finally managed to hammer out a workable document. So I'm going to bring that up under new business. But okay. Just one point I just wanted to make, and I welcome Thursday's meeting, and I just wanted to state that at no point, I think it's unfortunate, I think that the broader conversation that needs to be held, unfortunately, is getting lost in this silly notion that someone was going to cancel Canada Day. And at no point was I made aware going into last night's council meeting that anybody had ever proposed canceling Canada Day. So it's unfortunate that may overshadow this discussion, and because it is an important discussion that we have to have. And I voiced that concern last evening, but it's steamrollered on with this whole cancel Canada Day thing. So let's hope we can move past that Thursday and make some real progress as a community. So I look forward to that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Councillor.
Sorry. I just have a quick question. Does it, so from me, and maybe I'm not getting all the information, so please correct me if I'm wrong. From what it sounded like last night, it doesn't really matter what our, does it actually matter what our suggestion is?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes, the chamber, just so everybody's on the same page, sent all the councillors an email on the weekend with some suggestions that we could do for the Canada Day celebrations, part of the parade. There's not going to be a big festival at Swix Park or anywhere in Ontario or across the country due to the pandemic. And some of the suggestions, I thought there should be some conversation around that. And I reached out to you. I reached out to Councillor Millet and the mayor. And I feel better in this role with this committee, bringing in people in the know that lives live. So I spoke to David R. Miracle yesterday, David from Tandanega, well-known educator, musician, was in a residential school. He's in his early 60s, and it got very emotional yesterday for him. His wife, Kim, are going to be part of the conversation. Summer, your role with the Hastings Prince Edward District School Board, and Carrie Dewey-Smith, who spoke to us as a guest speaker about what's happening as far as Indigenous studies and other stuff going on in the school board with the Algonquin Lakeshore Catholic School Board. She's going to be part of that broader team that is going to educate us all and be a part of that conversation, because I think it's really important. Education is the key to moving this forward, and understanding and being reflective and showing respect and just trying to understand it. I since last night, I've had 10 emails, people sending me notes that are so happy that there's engagement now, that the conversation is even local instead of reading about the national situation, that we're talking about it locally. And I'm trying to use the right words. I'm trying to be sensitive to the issues. And it's really affected me the last, since the BC story. I think of those 215 kids every day, and what does Orange Shirt Day mean? It's all that education piece that we have to know about. And I think I'm speaking for many that this has been a tough time, and I'm glad that we're going to have that conversation Thursday at noon. It's as Summer said, it's not for me, a white guy in my 50s, to decide on what's going to happen for Canada Day and our relationship with Indigenous peoples. It's not my role. I can't. We need to have experts in the field and folks that represent the community. Any last thoughts on this, Victoria?
Might I suggest sharing the Truth and Reconciliation Commission with those who are attending on Thursday to review the calls to action in advance?
Okay, thank you. That's a good point. So we'll have that for Thursday. Stacy's our guest speaker, but Stacy, you're welcome to join the conversation on this too.
Thank you, Sean. I just wanted to put in that it's not just 215. There was another 105 found in Winnipeg the next day. This is terrible. There's actually even more than that. And, it's just becoming this atrocity and such a black mask on Canada for allowing this to have happened. So I'm really encouraged by the conversation that we're having here today. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yeah.
I do understand, Summer, you have to leave early. Final thoughts?
Yeah, I appreciate your passion for learning, Sean. It comes across as pretty clear and really genuine. So I appreciate that. And I think there's an announcement. I'm assuming you're all being here, but there's an announcement at 11 from the province, I believe, around some of the findings that are coming forth in Ontario too. So as we move forward with Indigenous History Month, it's important to focus also on some of the good things and contributions of Indigenous folks. And this is a bit of a mask that it is for sure affecting us all. And everybody has their own emotions around it, right? And you're entitled to that. So it is important to do some celebration as well as we move forward with the month, given that that mask that you've talked about. So thanks.
Thank you, Summer. You can stay till you have to leave for family responsibilities. And Chris, Councillor Millet, we'll come back to you under new business for what you've been working on with Summer. Is that fair?
Sure, yeah, that's fine. I just wanted Summer to be here for the first bit. Thank you.
No, thank you. All right. Well, we're excited today to welcome Stacey Love Jolliker, Chair of the Bay of Quinte Pride. June is Pride Month. Stacey, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Sean. And hello, everybody. So as Sean introduced me, I'm Stacy, and primarily most of my work is within corrections. I'm a mental health counselor, and I work in 13 institutions from Nova Scotia to British Columbia. I support about 350 LGBT offenders within that work that I do. Most recently, I'm the CEO and creator and founder of Saga LGBT Education and Support Services of Canada. And the reason I created that not-for-profit business is because the work that I do in the prison is bigger than me, and I can't do it by myself any longer. I started in 2014 with one offender, and today I'm over 350. So it's just really showing the need for that work. And it's kind of solidified how I see things in the world too, providing opportunities for people, not only our incarcerated, but also our Indigenous culture. And with me as a Two-Spirit Métis person, I feel this is very, very impactful to myself as well. So it's all part and parcel. I'm honored and pleased that the Pride Committee and the Pride celebration is shared with our Indigenous culture. For far too long, the Two-Spirit of people have been ignored and been negated for what we are and who we are. And as people from the LGBT community being Indigenous, it does come with its own complications and complexities. You know, many of our elders are not on board with in terms of Two-Spirit, which is really a disadvantage to most people. And again, even within our own cultures, we still struggle with language. So it's not surprising to hear Sean say that, you know, you're still trying to get the language right. And, you know, that's an important piece. And speaking about language, you know, that's some of the conversation that we're going to have later on in this month in terms of celebrating Pride. And I don't want to negate in any way, shape, or form the importance of the Indigenous people and what they are experiencing. So, you know, I don't want to overtake that with the Pride celebration, if you will. And what is that going to be like for this year in lockdown yet again? So I'm really happy that things are opening up a little bit, but you know, it's crazy out there. I mean, you've all probably been at the malls or at shopping, and you know, the lineups are astronomical and crazy. So yeah, it becomes a problem. So I want you all to know that I posted a link in the chat box there. Bay of Quinte Pride has partnered with the Bay of Quinte Regional Marketing Board, and we are hosting 2 presentations this month, one on the 23rd and one on the 24th. They are free. And for all the attendees that do attend, they have an opportunity to get a free Pride flag or free Pride sticker. So it's just an opportunity to move forward from that. And the conversation is going to be much about, you know, history, best ways to support LGBT people, the language, terminology, definitions, that sort of thing. Some of the best practices that we have, and a way that people can become educated and aware. And Sean, you mentioned it earlier, you know, in terms of awareness, you know, that's, you know, using this platform as Zoom, you know, is difficult. We got to get people to the platform first for them to become educated and aware. And this has been a real struggle, even with that, those 2 presentations that I'm going to do later this month with the Regional Marketing Board. You know, they've been up for about a month now. And, you know, in a city with our population, I'm totally surprised. We only have 150 people registered. So, like, where's the rest of our population? And why are people not stepping up, right? So this has always been a concern to me. And, you know, the bigger audience that we can get out there, the better it'll be for everybody. So I'm really excited about these two presentations that are coming. And I really invite each and every one of you to take a look at that link, register, be part of that group, not to get a free flag, but just to get that education and awareness part, so that you do have the language and the tools and the resources to speak with people from the LGBT community without fear of, am I saying the right thing? You know, and I don't want to offend, right? So I think it's a huge opportunity for everybody. So I'm really, really pumped to be there for you and to be there with you. Sean?
Yeah, I just read Summer wanted to know if it's okay to share the link with the partnership with Bay Equity Regional Marketing Board, and I would think, yes, go for it.
Absolutely. Please share it broadly and widely and continuously. Like, you know, we post something like this, we share an item, and then tomorrow it's gone because, you know, like, I don't know about you, but I get, you know, 100 emails a day, or, you know, the notifications are just flying left, right, and center, right? So it becomes very busy. And so I'm trying to circulate that on a daily basis. Not to get in people's face that much, but because of, you know, it gets lost. It gets lost in technology. It gets lost in emails. It gets lost.
Casey,
Absolutely.
any
And, you
questions?
know, I want to remind everybody that the only bad question is the one not asked and an assumption is made. So if you have a question, please ask it.
Any questions?
Yes,
Ruth.
Ruth.
Go ahead, Ruth.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I wondered if it was going to be recorded, that it could then continue to be shared throughout the year and for people who couldn't make it, or to continue the conversation with people.
That's a really good idea, Ruth, and I have suggested that and recommended it to the regional marketing board. And, you know, unfortunately or fortunately, they're the ones that are hosting that. So I have made the suggestion, and I'm sure Doug there is, you know, right on board with doing that. So I'm hoping that that'll be available. It is available already on the Bay of Quinte Pride Committee page as well. So there is, you know, lots of advertisement. I also am the coordinator for the Trans Forum group here in Belleville, which is a group for trans individuals to be able to live authentically and get the tools and resources that they need to be safe and to progress in their transition. So we have a lot of opportunities there. That link is also posted on our Trans Forum, not only our website, but also on our Facebook page. And we have a youth group here in Belleville, and some of you may know, and some of you may not. It is called the Say Out Loud group. And, you know, I'm going to share something as part of the committee for that group. You know, we have 20 to 50 kids come every week. And, you know, these kids are questioning, and most of them are identifying as queer, which is really difficult for people to understand. Like, what is that? People, you know, are in the mindset that queer is a derogative term. It's been reclaimed by the LGBT community as an opportunity, and it really targets our youth population because they're questioning, you know. And if you ever get a chance to be a member in one of these groups, these kids are coming, you know, and one week they're coming as Sam, and the next week they're coming as Samantha, and then tomorrow it could be Andrew, right? It's diverse and it's all over the map. And we can't say, yes, that's okay or that's not okay, because they're trying it on. When you go to the store and buy a shirt, you want to try it on, right? The same being with their name or their gender even. And as children growing up, they're trying to feel this and see what it feels like for them to get their name called by a friend. Oh, that name doesn't work for me, right? You know, so that's part of the questioning and part of the experience of growing and developing in their true authentic self. So that's a great question, Ruth, and I really encourage everybody to pass that on, right? And please, please, please share it as much as possible. Other questions?
Okay, Rhonda's got one for you, Stacy.
So you
Go ahead.
talked about resources for the different groups and stuff, which I think is great, but is there any resources, I mean, other than the individual groups for that they can reach out for mental health, especially if they're, you know, struggling with it? Is there anything available for them?
Absolutely.
Like in the community?
Yep, that's a great question, Rhonda. So, you know, our Canadian mental health is very, very LGBT culturally competent, as well as our addictions and mental health community services that we have here. They've all their counselors have undergone training by myself to give them the tools and resources so that they can have those conversations. And also the creation of the new Saga LGBT education and support services. We also have a 1-800 number that I have personally been fielding phone calls since November on that number. And so far to date, since November, actually December, I've had over 1,600 phone calls on that line.
Wow.
So the resources and the help is here, but people have to reach out for it.
Any other questions for Stacy? Follow up, Rhonda?
But I understand they have to reach out for it, but they also have to know that it's there,
Yes,
right? Like, how do you reach out for something when you don't even know what you're reaching out for?
right.
Right. So,
And you know,
I mean, but I'm really happy that, you know, there are other resources, and, you know, as the word gets out, like anything, then, you know, more and more people will know about it.
Right. And, you know, Rhonda, that's a really good point. And, you know, I can't stress upon it enough, not only for this committee, but our city and all of our frontline workers to have those resources available so that they can promote it. You know, when they're encountering on the front lines, you know, somebody who is in crisis, that they can direct them and provide that opportunity for them to have those resources, right? But how do we get that to that point? You know, I have knocked on city, you know, the fire services, I've knocked on the police doors, and I've knocked on our ambulance services, and nobody wants to participate in these programs. So that's kind of distraughting to me, trying to promote and educate, but yet I'm being not allowed in. So it becomes a catch-22, right? How can we best promote it if I can't get in and give those people the tools and resources they need to promote it? So it's a catch-22.
Yeah. Any other questions? Stacy, how long have you lived in this area?
So I moved to Belleville in 2012. I was rejected by my family. I first identified when I was 9. So we're talking 1968. Like, you can't even imagine what it was like to be trans in that time. And, you know, I was participating in the first ever Toronto parade, which wasn't even a parade, it was a protest. And we were marching down University Avenue, a couple of hundred people in protest against the way we were treated. And, you know, in comparison to 2019, our last Pride, public Pride, you know, where we had 3.3 or 3.1 million people on the streets, including our Prime Minister. It just goes to show how far we've advanced with that. But, you know, as many have said before, and it's not just my words, you know, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. And unfortunately, unless we continuously step forward and bring that to the platform, it'll just die off like many other things do, right? So, yeah, so I've been here since 2012. And, you know, when I moved to this area, I was unemployed. I couldn't get a job. I have 6 college diplomas and 2 university degrees. And I don't know how many times I heard from HR professionals, you're not a good fit. Well, why am I not a good fit? Because you don't like the way I look or the way I sound, or you think, you know, women should look differently or somehow. But they would never answer me, right, for fear of discrimination. So it was really, really difficult to find work in this area. And I found a program that was being offered out of Career Edge, one of our employment agencies here. It was actually recommended to me by Meta, another employment agency, because they didn't carry that program, but Career Edge did. And that program was a program by the Ontario government called TIOW, TIOW, Target Initiatives for Older Workers. Yep, I'm an older worker, right? And through that program, I was able to successfully get my teacher's certificate, and as well as become a certified leader of diversity and inclusion from the CCDI, which is the Canadian Centre for Diversity and Inclusion in Toronto. It was a college program hosted through Centennial College for leadership skills, and it was called Leadership. So that was a wonderful opportunity. But even having had completed my teacher's certificate, I couldn't find a job. And I was being turned away left, right, and center. And I took a job with Canadian Mental Health in Peterborough for 2 hours a week. I drove to Peterborough and back to work for 2 hours. It took 3 hours travel time to work 2 hours. But one day while I was there, my supervisor came to me and she said, "Stacy, we just got a call from a prison and they have somebody there they'd like to have a mental health counselor. Would you go?" And I said, "Absolutely." Well, it took 3 months to get my clearance. But when I got to that institution and I met with that individual, he said to me, "Stacy, it's not just me, there's lots of us." And we put together a proposal to the warden to hopefully get a program going. And nothing happened for 3 months. And that offender took his life. Interestingly, we got approved the next month. It took the death of him to make it happen. But we started that group with 12, and that group is now over 29, was our last count, just pre-COVID rollout. So that was March 12th of 2020, I guess that was. But word about that spread through the system like wildfire. And I wish the word about what we can do and what we can support spreads like wildfire throughout our own industry, whether it be people or community organizations or our police services or our fire department or whoever. Everybody and anybody is stakeholders in this. So, and today, you know, like I said, 13 institutions from the East Coast to the West Coast, thousands of phone calls, and just, you know, being able to do what I do has been such a rewarding success for myself personally, and I think for the community at large as well. You know, I speak to hundreds of people constantly. I get phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning from people looking for resources or people searching for crisis help. So being in the front line really, really kind of helps that. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story and being with us this morning. I think I speak for everybody on the committee. Thank you so much. I think we might be seeing more of you down the road too. Chris, Councillor Millet, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just briefly. Thanks so much, Stacy. You know, hearing your story and hearing how far you've come, not just personally, but within the correction system. I mean, that truly is pride in action. And I think that's where it's encouraging to see that we've come to the point where, while the struggle still is real in a lot of senses for acceptance, but, you know, putting words into action and actually seeing, you know, and any of us knows that those old institutions are like a super tanker trying to turn in the middle of the ocean to correct course. But it's really encouraging to see and hear that we're making progress in that regard. So thanks so much for that. And just as a personal aside, I'm sorry I missed you over at my wife's ice cream shop on the weekend. I saw you were there with Brad Danoon. So cheers, and here's an extra scoop for you the next time you're in.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Thanks, Stacy.
Any other questions before we part?
You're welcome to stay, Stacy, if you'd like.
I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I have my companion that I have a doctor's appointment to take to. So I really appreciate it. And, you know, I can see an opportunity as the chair of the Pride Committee to be part of this inclusion and diversity committee within the city. And I think it's important that we allow opportunity for a diverse group to be here. So thank you very much, everybody, for your attention. And please register that link on that link and promote it, share it every day if you can. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate that. We'll be in touch.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Well done. Really enjoyed that. And I'm sure you did too. Under new business, Councillor Millet's going to update us on what he's been working on with summer. Councillor Millet. We can't hear Chris.
Unmute. Oh, I'll be so glad when we have to stop unmuting ourselves to be heard. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know, have you all received copies of the final draft? Does everybody have a copy of that? Sean, you have one?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of.
We'll check with Sheila. Sheila, did that go out to all committee members?
I believe it did, Chair, but it's been at least a month at this point, so it may
Yeah,
have to be resent.
Sorry, the final version. Wait a minute. Just give me a sec. I've got it up on my screen, and if I share screen,
Should work.
1 moment. I'm gonna knock my video off here for a sec. Okay, where is that? Share screen. Desktop. Share. Whoops. Let me shrink this. There we go. Share screen. Dagnabbit. Exit minimal view. Okay, here. I'll do this first. Share screen. Share, then.
There you go.
Are you seeing the land statement?
Yes.
Okay, so the wording here that you see is what I'm proposing, and time is of the essence in terms of, I would like this to be on our council agenda for June 28th. It's a rather significant date because we're moving back into our newly refurbished council chambers, and I would like to make this part of that new beginning in that space. It's unfortunate that Summer isn't here with us right now, because there may not be a lot of words in this statement, but trust me, we parsed every bit of it, and we feel that this truly is representative of the peoples that we need to represent in our Indigenous land acknowledgement, as well as the the last bit where we also acknowledge the treaties signed hundreds of years ago are as relevant today as when they were signed. And that's important. And ask any Indigenous person today. These struggles are going on across the country. The very least we can do is to honor the treaties. And that statement, some people may have some pushback on it, but you know what? After consultation and from where Summer sat and with her valuable input, all of this needs to be said, and all of this needs to be said at the beginning of every council meeting. And moving forward, I would like this proclamation to be read as a matter of course at the top of every committee, civic committee meeting. Because when we come together to discuss the business of the city and our community, this is the kind of acknowledgement that needs to be made. So those are the words, and I will entertain a motion after any discussion to hopefully have this placed on our January 28th council agenda. So.
Well, thanks to you, Councillor Millet, and Summer Bertrand for working on that. I know it's been a process, and thank you so much. And it's good to see the final draft here today. Anybody in the committee have any comments? All right. Well, Chris, if you want to call for the motion to get a mover and a seconder to get this to.
You can call the motion, and I'll make the motion if somebody seconds it.
Okay, I make the motion that the land agreement, Indigenous declaration rather, be accepted. And will this go to council on the 28th, Chris? Is that the game?
Yeah, well, this motion through the committee would be to forward this to council for adoption as a statement to be read at each and every city council meeting going forward.
You got that, Sheila, as the motion?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Can we get a mover? Councillor Millet, seconder, Ruth, all those in favor? Approved, thank you. Well done.
Thanks very much. And I'll be speaking more when it comes to council on this. And just an aside, it's not just the statement. Summer and I as well agreed that we can't just simply throw the statement out there and have it read, which is important. But at some point when we're allowed to gather, hopefully this late summer or fall, Summer and her father, who was a resident survivor of residential schools, they have a presentation that we're going to do for the community. And it's part and parcel of this education piece from this. So, you know, it's all very timely in the current discussion, but it needs to happen. And I'm just happy that this is another part of our learning. And that's why another reason I wanted it on the agenda for the 28th is, you know, that will be some of the last days of Indigenous History Month. And what better way to recognize our local Indigenous history than to adopt this statement. So thanks all for supporting that.
Thank you, Councillor Millet, appreciate it. We have our next meeting scheduled on the 21st of September, but before we make an adjournment here, now that you've had 25 or 30 minutes to check, I'll just go around the table here because I'd want everybody at that conversation Thursday at noon. Ruth Ingersoll, you're going to be good to go, Ruth?
Yes, I should be good to go.
Thank you. Chris, you're going to make it? Chris Berry?
I'm on annual leave, sorry.
Okay,
I'm
no
not gonna be
problem. Okay, Victoria, you're good? Councilor Millet raised his hand, thank you. Rhonda?
Yes, and I'd like to ask a question after you go through this, please.
Okay, and Dr. Arona, you'll be here Thursday at noon. Can you make it? We'll have to just take off the, there you go. Does
Okay.
Thursday noon work for you?
So sorry that I was in a little late this morning. I heard you mention Thursday. Could you just maybe just tell me what time and what the subject is?
the subject matter will be Canada Day celebrations with the city and Indigenous peoples. And we're going to have some guests join us that some would consider experts in the field. And it's their voice. And we're going to have a conversation on Thursday at noon. So
Is that a planning committee or,
no, this is just a special meeting that we called with the city
oh, okay.
and the committee here, the Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee. This is a special meeting because it's that important, and we want to have the conversation with
And what
people.
time is it? What
At
time?
Noon.
At noon, okay. I'll have to check and email you.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Doctor. Aaron, does that work for you?
I'm available. I'll be there.
All right,
Thank you.
good, appreciate it. So looks like we'll have almost 100% turnout. Now, Rhonda, you had a question.
Yeah, it just in conjunction with the speaker today in regards to the Pride crosswalk. I guess I saw it being posted, and I'm just curious as to the location, as to why, and I don't know who makes that decision or part of it, but it's just kind of went with the theme of today. I mean, we have El Fresco starting downtown Belleville, and I'm kind of surprised that the Pride crosswalk is not downtown. We're trying to encourage people to go downtown. I work downtown, so maybe I'm promoting it a little bit. It's, you know, on Pinnacle Street, and I just wanted to bring that up for discussion because, I mean, I think this is the first year, correct me if I'm wrong, that they've had anything like this, but I'm really shocked at the location.
I can appreciate your comments, Rhonda. I saw it there too, near the library, that intersection at that street. I saw it for the first time maybe a couple of weeks ago too. So I believe we couldn't, I think Councillor Millet maybe can recall, for some reason we were told it couldn't be downtown at the Four Corners there. There was some kind of issue that it couldn't be down there.
Why couldn't it be like at the crosswalks as you go through downtown? That would, you know, we've got El Fresco going, there's going to be a lot of, you know, well, there's more
Valid
action
question.
downtown.
Those are good questions, but it's not a but we at least have it this year. So baby steps, you know, but I do appreciate what you're saying. I'll ask why it's there, and we'll see what answer we get.
Chair,
Again,
there's also a crosswalk at the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center this year.
where the pride flag is, yes, there's a crosswalk there. I noticed that too.
Yeah, but we'd have to go back to Transportation Operations Services, I believe, for the question. So perhaps we can check with that department to determine their location.
I guess I just question the location because as far as like at the wellness center, well, it's been closed. So what traffic are you getting? You know, I was thinking, well, where would be another opportunity in the city where there's a bit more attraction, or not attraction, but activity? And I was like, well, you know, as you're coming out of the mall, if you're going straight like towards Michael's, but in that area, there's obviously, you know, a lot more traffic. Who's going to the wellness center? It's not even open.
Actually, it is, Chair. It's open now for the vaccination clinic.
Okay.
Yeah, it has been
I
just
sit
recently though,
corrected.
Rhonda.
But
Yeah.
the facility's not open. You're not going swimming. You're not going to the activities. But unless you're going there to get your vaccination, you wouldn't even know it's there. So anyways, we don't need a big debate. I was just kind of curious as to why the location. I think it's great that, you know, there is that out there, but I'm just really curious as to that decision and why not downtown Belleville? Like we've got Fresco happening now. We're all blocked off, and so that's all.
I'm glad you raised that. That's what this committee's all about. We want to hear from the members. So no, thank you for that, Rhonda. And I was at Loyalist College for my vaccination a month ago, and there's a beautiful display on their sidewalk going into the college too. So no, this is all good. We'll get some. We'll look into it and see why their decisions were made to put where they were. There might be reasons behind it. So
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Rhonda. Anybody else have some final thoughts before we adjourn? Aaron?
Thanks, Chair. Just kind of building on Rhonda's comments, I'm wondering, and I think this Thursday's meeting is a great example of that. Are there ways that this committee can kind of be consulted in advance of some of these great initiatives that are happening so that we can help kind of shape those pieces so that these great steps are even better?
No, that's that's a good point, and we have a great transportation department. Mr. Reed is behind that, great to work with. So yeah, we can do that, Aaron. And I think moving forward, that's the way it should be. Anything that is bringing people together and talks about equity, diversity, inclusion, we should be in on that conversation on how it's going to roll out. Good point.
That's
Councillor
Great,
Millet.
thank you.
Yeah, and further to that, thank you, Mr. Chair, to Aaron's point. It's quite easily enough to send a request through this committee to each department head. Just a general reminder that when and if they're making these decisions or recommendations that may have an inclusion or a diversity component, or, you know, the crosswalk, as Rhonda said, was an ideal opportunity for some input from this committee. And again, you know, we're building momentum with this committee in our expanded scope, and our part of our mandate is to give direction and suggestion to staff, and that's ideal. I mean, just a gentle reminder to all department heads that any and all of those decisions that their departments might be making, by all means, run it by us first, and let's see what our membership might suggest.
Thank you, Councillor. Anything else before we call for an adjournment? So we'll see you Thursday at noon. Thank you. I'll talk to Sheila. We'll connect. We'll roll out the Zoom address, and it'll start at noon, and we'll go from there. Does that work for you, Sheila?
Yes, Chair, that's fine.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for your work today producing, and Mark Coyle and everybody that was behind it. Next meeting is Thursday. We'll see you then.
I think
Call for
Councillor
adjournment.
Millet, yeah.
Pardon?
I was wondering if Councillor Millet's waving goodbye or just had his hand up. Just
He's got
waving
his
goodbye.
hand up. Do we have to call for a mover and a seconder for the adjournment? No?
Somebody make a motion to.
Okay, make a motion, Councillor Millet, and seconded by Victoria. You're in the minutes, Victoria. Good stuff. Thank you. See you Thursday noon. Thank you.